Shubhaji, shall we chant Ananyas Chintayanto first?
Yes, sir. Ananyas Chintayanto Ma Ye Jana Pariyupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyaham.
Can you please repeat?
Ananyas Chintayanto Ma Ye Jana Pariyupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyaham.
Very nice.
But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have.
Very nice. Thank you, Shubhaji.
Thank you, sir.
So this is what Sri Krishna is saying. Those who are meditating on me, I offer them what they lack and I preserve what they have. Yoga and Kshema. So what is that Sri Krishna is pointing at here? What is the truth? What occurs to each one of you? Who wants to share first?
So, yeah, the way I see it is, as humans, each one each one has certain things, and they lack certain things, and normal outlook is like go after that, keep focusing, or like it's maybe my view, like focus on like what is lacking and go after it, and like the whole life journey becomes like finding that finding that what and all is lacking, and selfish pursuit of all those things, right? So I guess the life ends just going after all those things lacking. One like at times like not necessarily appreciating what is there also, right? So here there is a different approach being shown as what Krishna is giving, which is like two steps, or like two ways. One is like bhakti, and realizing um, the the true form, and meditating on that form, transcendental form, with which you again and like where like the selfishness is gone, right? And you again almost get the same thing, just that like instead of one going by his or her own effort and in a selfish way, here you get that in the true, in the real way. So it's not necessarily like uh, you are not trying to get what you want. You will still get, but it's a much uh, cleaner, peaceful path, it looks like. So with a selfish way, like you are still going with your own limitations, and there is anxiety, there is no peace, right? So in this, while in this path, there is you are not realizing or like going with your own self, your own limitations, right? And you are tapping on a bigger force, right? Higher force, and with that, the anxiety will also be not there.
Excellent. So what you're essentially saying is, when the selfishness has eroded, then you're able to invoke the higher powers.
Yes, one has to, that self is that the ego self which tries to stand up and say like I can do anything, everything, and like I will go, right? So that that um I feel that separates one from uh, the higher form, right? And the more farther one moves from that, um, um, there is going to be a lot more effort and anxiety, and it is like it will highlight that selfish effort in a big way. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you see, can you elaborate a little more on when Krishna says yoga and kshema? How do you see that? Or
So
how do you interpret that?
so yeah, that's what I initially started. That so he's talking about what one lacks and what one has, right? So in a human form, I see that like it's a limited manifestation of the unlimitedness, and maybe based on the karma of the prarabdha karma of the jiva, each one comes with some haves and like lacking something else, right? There is no perfection in a jiva in terms of like knowing everything or having everything, right? So we all come with both the plus and the minus, right? And focusing on always that minus, the lack, like one is not going to be at peace and happy, and also unable to, they will not be able to appreciate what they have, right? So um, so the other path with this with bhakti and the meditating on the higher true form, so there is explicitly that part is not given, but I believe um, it is doing those yajnas which you have put, through which you actually get that satisfaction. Is that right? Like it's not explicitly given here,
That is true.
but right. So
Yeah.
through which you actually get that satisfaction, um, uh, and you feel that full completeness, fullness, because you are able to give with what you have, and you are getting what you don't have from by seeing how others are getting benefited.
Very nice.
Mhm.
Thank you, Sarananji.
Yeah.
Who likes to share? What is that Krishna is pointing at? Yes, Ashwini ji.
I would like to add what Sarvanaji said. Here, he mentioned about everybody had something and does not have something, or everyone had some strength, or everyone had some weaknesses. The things which we don't have, we work for it and we try to get them, achieve them. We go after those things. But according to our strength and weaknesses, we get those things, or we do not get those. But when Krishna is saying that uh, when you drop your ego, that yes, I'll do this, I will do this, and I will get this. This I means that the ego. When you drop the ego and contemplate on me with full devotion or worship me with full devotion, I am assuring that what you don't have, I will fulfill those requirements, and what you have, I will preserve them. In other words, if if we want to talk about yoga and shame, in my opinion, yoga means being one. If by dropping your ego, if one becomes one with Krishna and that Jivatma one, he will protect everything for that Jiva. I mean, one who becomes one with Krishna, Krishna is assuring that I will protect him from everything. This assurance Krishna is giving to each one of us.
But the important criteria is to drop the limited self and to realize the higher self.
Yes.
Excellent. Any particular incident that you can narrate in connection with this, Ashwini-ji? Anything in your life or anything that you know of that connects to this particular shloka as an incident?
I'll think over and come back to you.
Yes, certainly. Who would like to share next? Padmaji, Shubhaji, Shilpakalaji, Purnimaji. Anything that you would like to add?
I think my views are similar to what Saravananji and Ashwini-ji shared already, sir. So I was contemplating on what is exclusive devotion. That is one aspect, and I also felt that when we offer our services or whatever we do in this lifetime daily to everyone around us, I think if it is surrendered at his feet, if we think that we are doing it for him and not for any of our selfish motive or anything in that, it is purely dedicated as his feet, and we see him in everyone and offer it to everyone, then I think he will do the rest for us. For example, like how Guruji was telling about that Gita Danam. He was saying that how it was so difficult, or probably it was even beyond their own thinking, that how he could do it, in a place where nobody even knows what is Bhagavad Gita. To spread it to such an extent, there must be some powers higher than us that is bringing everything together for that one person who wants to offer it as a service to him. So that is something which comes together and helps us. It's some higher power. I don't think we can do it ourselves if there is no union. And also when you talk about yoga kshema, I think again kshema is something like a protection. So he offers us protection and preserves what we have and give us whatever we lack when we are in union with him. I think complete union with him is what I think. By union, I mean that you are constantly only remembering him, whatever you are doing, maybe you're chanting or you're offering whatever you are doing at his feet, then there is a certain kind of union that comes with it itself, I feel. Because then there is no separation of who you are doing it for, why you are doing it. All these questions doesn't necessarily arise.
Very nice. So you are referring to this picture, no? So this is the picture from the recent
that
Gita
picture.
Jayanti celebration.
And I think even the bottom picture, although I don't know like the entire thing, but I feel that looking at the picture, it's like it's not an easy task to give food to so many people on a daily basis. But somewhere that the procuring of that product that they need for making those meals or anything, I think he would take care of it. From somewhere it will come to them for them to continue that service, because they are offering it selflessly, and they are and it is like food. Food is the highest of offering. In whichever tradition we look at, it is the highest offering, because there is no need to have any discrimination when we give food to anybody. At least for giving some other danas, we need some discrimination. For example, we donate money or anything, but food, I think there is no discrimination at all, and anybody can be offered food. So obviously there must be somebody might be providing. Obviously it's him only who's protecting, because they are offering such a noble service out there.
Yeah, so let me share this story. This is two of the sevaks in Salem. So they are from a average economic background, and during the COVID, they saw that many people, especially on the street, were going hungry, and many low-income families and many elderly people were going hungry. So they started every day making food at home and packing that, wearing the right kind of mask and everything. They would go and donate the food. So over a period of time, they even started offering kashayam to the police people. Of course, many a times, many people came to them and said that, this is COVID time, height of the COVID infection. You're risking yourselves by going out and everything. So for a little while, even they were shaken. But, one day it so happened that two of the policemen came to their home and said that, whatever you're giving to us was giving us so much of courage and strength. Why have you stopped it? Like that, in a way, the message once again came. And they say that, they on a daily basis offer food to anywhere around 80 to 100 people. And with their own livelihood, happening from a smaller income, how all of this is getting arranged is something like a big miracle. At the right time, right kind of money or the right kind of dhanya, whatever is necessary for that day's work comes. Like the story of Shri Kunni Krishnan that Prabhuji narrated, where this elderly man, in order to carry the books itself, right kind of assistance came his way. And that's why, if you see here, there is also, in a way, a hierarchy in this yajna. Sri Krishna doesn't give equal importance to all the yajnas. He says highest form of the yajna, Prabhuji also says, is the Rishi yajna. So, for example, Annadana, for how many people can you offer Annadana? Very limited. Whereas Jnanadana, the right knowledge which can liberate, can be shared so wide. So it is like the Prabhuji's vision of 3G, Ghar Ghar Gurukul. So now, look at each one of us. We ourselves, in many ways, feel inspired to take this message in our own ways. Whatever, the Bhagavad Gita chanting classes that Padmaji is doing, or Sarananji is helping, or what Shubhaji is recording for the Gita recording, like that, each one is involved in our own ways. And what is your experience during those sessions? Focus on that. Padmaji, how do you feel during the sessions with the children?
I think first of all, sir, I have to learn better to and know better what I am teaching, so that creates a learning spirit in me also, that I have to give the right kind of information. It cannot be just any information or anything. So and as far as chanting is concerned, the way you pronounce the words, or the words meaning, or how they are split, I think I take care of all that as well, because they are at a learning stage. So whatever you teach them, they accept it very completely as it is, they accept. So when they accept that, accept it like that, your responsibility, I think it increases many times to convey the right kind of knowledge is one thing. Second is, I think you learn a lot also, because sometimes there are some questions that come from them that you might not even have thought about. So it gives a different perspective to the same thing, that maybe you have a certain way of deciphering the entire thing, but then you have a new perspective. So it can be looked at it like that also. That kind of aspect is coming. And when you get that kind of question, you also want to explore, okay, how do I address this question? So you are also learning many things on the way. I think I am learning more than what I am teaching. That's what I would like to say. And that is why I wanted to continue it. Initially, like, I was a little bit skeptical, because I don't think I am fully knowledgeable to impart anything to others. But then when I experienced that more than teaching, I am learning. I remember I asked the same question to Guruji, and Guruji said, "Who said you are going to teach?" and that was an eye-opening sentence, I think, because then Guruji said, "No, you are going to learn," and I am experiencing that. So it's wonderful.
Very nice. And what is the impact of that on your feelings and emotions and your day-to-day affairs?
I think there is some deeper sense of satisfaction that you have done something, somewhere you have touched a few people, and you have said the right things, or maybe you have given them a little bit of some understanding, like how to look at situations in your life, or what is your actual goal. So I think a little bit in that direction, if you have contributed, it is a lot, I feel, because every drop counts in an ocean, is how I see it. So for me also, it is every drop that is coming in, and for them also. So there is a deep sense of satisfaction, there is a peacefulness, and you also go into deep into that scripture. So it is also increasing your knowledge at many levels. It brings you also more clarity with your situations in your life.
Excellent. Very nice, Padmaji. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yes, Sarunanji, please.
So one thing, the way I've been seeing or realizing is for some reason, some things are coming to us, to me, be it knowledge or wealth or whatever. And the way I see it is, if I enjoy it and stop it with me, it becomes selfishness. And I need to let it go, let it flow. This is what the recently my contemplation has been like. There is a reason it's coming to me. I have two options: hold it, keep it, or like let it go. Right? If I am enjoying, if this knowledge is giving me that clarity, that peace, I cannot keep it with me and stop it there. I will. I think like. I think that is a natural part of person, that like you will go out to share and like to say like, hey, I am seeing something like how can I not tell you that, like, look at it this way, right? And that is that slight, that line where it becomes from selfish to selfless thing. And the moment you see it, like it's I don't know, you just like feel good. It's a that feel good thing. You cannot there is no money can get you that. Right?
It's quite natural.
Yeah. So that's how I'm seeing these things, how it comes. Yeah.
Very nice. My guru always says, nature of the nature is to care. Nature of the nature is to care. It is not something that you've learned. That is your nature.
True.
And that is why, it brings so much of deep satisfaction. Excellent, Saravanan, very nice.
And also I feel I also think that any form, any life form, anything that has come from Prakriti takes care of it in different ways. And if one is going to and like what I do it is basically, if it is the intent of the Prakriti, then Prakriti basically takes care of me. If I do that, at the end of the day, it's a zero sum game. It's like there is no win lose some or thing, right? It's basically what came from the nature. It has to be maintained by the nature. That's the game. And like you go and fill it, and like your needs are taken care of. That is another way I see it. Yeah, it's not that again I'm going to do it because I'm thinking, I'm expecting something, but the way I see it is like this is how it is. Everything will be taken care of. So why worry then? Just keep going.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Shubhaji, Shilpakalaji, anything to share? How about Purnimaji?
Yeah, Vijay, you go. I will join in a second because I'm doing something in the kitchen.
Okay,
You
all
please
right.
carry on, Vijay.
Shubhaji, Shilpakalaji, what are your feelings? What do you want to share?
So, what everyone has contemplated, has discussed so far, so it's very true. So, if you serve selflessly, things are automatically taken care of by the higher forms. So, like it is said in the earlier, in one of the shlokas, where you have to, not uh, your actions means you should not worry about the fruit of your actions. I mean, you do what you are supposed to do selflessly without worrying about the what you will get in return. So that itself, so I believe it's it takes care of things. If you do things selflessly without your ego getting involved, things come to you. Miracles happen. That's what I think.
It feels like miracle, but that is the
Yeah.
nature of how things are.
Yes.
It's a miracle because this little mind thought that, oh, it's all me who is doing. Then suddenly something big happening. How can this happen? And that's why it feels like a miracle.
Yes, sir.
Very nice. Any particular incident that you would like to refer to?
Yes, so there is a incident which happened recently, like with regards to my elder son. So he had appeared for his JEE exams, JEE means, and due to the COVID situation, they had 4 attempts. So initially, he was doing his best, but he was not getting through. And in the final attempt, we all were like, nothing is going to happen. So he has to appear for MHCET. So he still gave his 4th attempt, and he was sure that he'll score his marks. So and when we checked his results, he had got very less percentage. So, and we were like totally, we had lost hope. And then we all encouraged him, and we told him, like, you appear for MHCET, you'll get in one of the engineering colleges. So he gave his MHCET and he got 84. So while we were applying for the colleges, there is a section where you have to update your JEE mains score. So when he put in his the code, the number, and when we got to know, he had actually scored 84 as well in his 4th attempt. So all the while we were thinking that he has not cleared his JEE, any of his JEE attempts. So, and then with the help of that, we were able to get his admission in a college So he got his admissions for electrical engineering. So it was like a miracle. Because we were thinking like maybe this year he'll have to take a drop and he'll apply, he'll do it again next year. But then somehow things worked. So I felt very thankful, and it was a very wow moment actually. It was like a miracle.
Excellent. Very nice, Shilpakalaji. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, sir.
Shubhaji, you have anything to share?
During this recording of the shlokas,
Yeah.
as Padmaji said, we have to be good in pronunciation, tune everything, and then we have to go ahead. But there were instances where I was going wrong. And kids corrected me, and I took it in my this thing. And actually, I felt good that the kids are much better than me. So it didn't affect me at all. Rather, my ego didn't get hurt. I was actually feeling good. So probably that is one thing that I have set aside all my ego, and I have overcome that. So at that time, I felt okay. All along, these egos doesn't affect me anymore. So that is one thing I noticed. And the experience with the kids was very good. It was like a learning experience for me, and it was also good that like unlike our egos getting hurt, they don't have any issues at all. They just correct and they carry on. There is no strings attached kind of a thing with them. So that is one thing I learned.
Excellent. Very nice, Shubhaji. Very nice. So like you rightly pointed at, it is that like you and what Saravanan and all the others said, that trupti, that feeling of completeness, no amount of money can buy, nothing in the world can buy what you feel. That feeling is the most important recognition of your true nature. You feel so good because that is your inherent nature. So like that, it appears like a miracle. Life is actually, in one sense, if you look at it like a small child's viewpoint, it's a miracle. Only when I start explaining, wanting to analyze it, it gets into so many kinds of splits. But otherwise, it's a series of miracles. Just look at this very moment that yoga and kshema at this very moment are being taken care. In the very way the body is working. So many millions of miracles are happening right now in the body. Both yoga and kshema are taken care right at this moment. So Krishna is not talking about some incident, something in the future. Of course, these incidents help us to recognize. But at this moment, right here, right now, as we are breathing, what a miracle the breathing is. What a miracle that the blood is flowing. What a miracle that the muscles are working. It is like 100 trillion cells working together flawlessly. What a miracle that is. Both yoga and kshema are taken care there itself. Like that, if you just notice, not only this body, but how all the other things in this world are working, this entire planet is spinning at such a speed, that is taken care. This entire universe is working like a clockwork, that is taken care. In this moment, for a glorious moment like this, yoga and kshema both are happening. So Krishna's assurance is not a sometime in the future. It's not a if you do this, then I will do this kind of a, not like a carrot and stick that we all are used to in the corporate world. You complete this project, then you will get this raise. If you don't, you'll get the beating. Krishna's assurance is not at all like that. It's a completely non-judgmental, available all the moment. But the mind takes some time to recognize. So grace, Yoga and Kshema is what we call as grace. Oh, it happened like a miracle. What a miracle. It's a divine grace. But the divine grace is the one which is taking care every moment. Always in that divine grace, in that ocean of divine grace only. So yoga and Kshema is moment to moment, is just happening naturally. I just have to learn to realize it. And the path of realization is what Krishna has given. Exclusive devotion, meditating on my form. What it essentially means is surrendering that little I and to look at the life in the way it is meant to be. Not through my concepts. Like a little child. That's why for a little child, everything is a wonder. A little honey drop dropping is wonder. Rain is a wonder. A butterfly is a wonder. You know, some little sound you make is a wonder. Everything is a wonder. So it's a wonderful moment to moment to moment transition for a little child. And that's your true nature. So Krishna is essentially asking us to go back to our own innocence. That's all. In that innocence, the other day I saw this little child. I must have shown that video to you also. The father and the son and the daughter are playing together. And the game is, where the son, the father's hands are here and the son has to hit and the father has to escape. So once or twice the son hits the hand, that's the game. But when it comes to the daughter, she doesn't hit, but goes to say, okay, are you hurt? It is like that, the tender feeling of love and care is there all the time. So maybe I would like to end this session with a short video. I would like to show you a short video. You may have seen this. So for those who missed the starting point, here is a chimp which is about to die. It has become very old. It is refusing to eat.
is nog echt ontbreekt. Ja, dus ik heb wel echt hele mooie soort. Dat is echt heel mooi. Is het al klaar? Nou, kom zo. Nee, niet klaar.
Anything to say? Yes,
Yes,
Purnima,
Vijay.
please. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a very touching video. How the Yogakshema is taken care for every being God has created, and God will take care. So that is there, and everybody's inputs was really, really from the heart, very beautiful. One specifically, I want to say, why does the shloka start with but those who always worship me? So there is a rider there, right? There's a rider. Krishna has taken care of the basic plan for all of us. The universe going on and the body is functioning and all that. But with that rider, he says, Ananya Chintana, Ananya Bhakti. That is the main thing here. Ananya is a beautiful word which implies Anya Ashraya Tyagaha. So nobody else, nothing else should be your support, only God. Nothing the God is not on the to-do list. I want my house, I want my career, I want my children to be happy, I want everything to go well, and then I will go to God. No, he's the top of the list. That's what he's saying here. Ananya Chintana. And Ananya Chintayanto Mam, for such people, Ye Janaha Paryupasate. The word Paryupasate means what I discovered during my research is Paryupasana is not just blindly worshipping God with shlokas and mantras and rituals. It is, he says in the shloka, no, those who worship me in my transcendental form, which is thinking of my qualities, that I'm the imperishable, I'm this, I'm that, those kind of all the suktas that talk about the God in the transcendental form, that he's the wind, he's the fire, he's the everything, the qualities of nature, everything is God. That is a transcendental form, not just a beautiful Krishna with the fruit or with the peacock feather or with the beautiful Adharam Madhuram kind of Krishna. That is fine. That God without Rupa is what you have to call, that is Paryupasana. Ananya Chintayanto Mam Ye Janah Paryupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam. That Nityabhiyuktanam is also very significant. Each and every moment of the day, you have to be in the Chintana of God. Nitya Abhiyukta. Nitya means every moment. So that is there. How do we do it? We have Prabhuji and the Gita itself has given us any number of ways to do it. During karma, bhakti, gnana, in all the ways when we are doing it, we are doing Paryupasana of God, nothing else. Yogakshema, again, the Yogakshema which Vijayji pointed out is very, very significant. God says, I will take care of your needs, not greed. That is the main thing. You know what? Are you opting for, there is something called Shreyas and Preyas. At every point of time, you opt for the higher good. What is good for you? Not necessarily what you love, what you want, what you desire. Like Prabhuji loves to give the example of diabetic. So if you're a diabetic, you opt for Shreyas. When you see a lot of sweets in front of you, you don't reach out because your tongue craves for it. So that is Shreyas. You are opting for Shreyas rather than Preyas, or just popping one in your mouth without, of your own volition. So when you consciously choose God above everything else, so Shreya or Preyas, that is Yogakshema, means that for such people, I'll take care of their basic needs, like how Vivekananda was taken care by Ramakrishna. Vivekananda didn't ask for anything else, even though he had a chance to ask God, you give me this, you take care of my family and all that. No, he was dumbstruck when he saw the wonderful Mother Kali, right? So then Ramakrishna said, you fool, you didn't ask mother what you wanted. Okay, you will not lack, your family will not lack the basic needs. Go. So like that, without asking, God will take care of your basic needs. Yogakshemam. Vahamiham is also another wonderfully loaded word. Vahami means to carry. And God doesn't just grant, he carries for his bhaktas. So any number of beautiful stories, like what the Kuni Krishnan story of how he actually carried the books of the Bhagavad Gita, that is literally true. So that is the many layers to this shloka, and lot of contemplation can go on. So these are the basic things that I wanted to share with you all. So that but is the rider over here. Who are the ones who are eligible for my special grace? So God is giving us a whole lot of qualities that one should have. Develop that. We have to develop that muscle of choosing God over everything else all the time. Thank you.
Very nice, Purnimaji. Thank you very much. Very nice. So before we conclude, is there anything else anyone wants to share or say or ask?
But so that but is a continuation of the previous shloka where the Muda, those who are selfish, right?
Correct,
So
correct. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very nice. Any other point? Okay, then let me end the contemplation.